पेरेंट्स ने कैसे रिएक्ट किया जब स्टार्टअप वाइंड अप करने की बात आई?
बीच में तो क्या करता क्या है इनफैक्ट आई हैव इंटरव्यूड लॉट ऑफ फोक्स हु वुड जस्ट कम अप टू मी सेइंग सर मैंने बस ये 3 महीने का कोर्स किया मुझे जॉब दे दो इफ यू आर इन सेल्स करियर राइट यू आर अर्निंग एक्स मनी राइट डोंट एक्सपेक्ट दैट यू वुड start getting marketing jobs at the same level.
So hi guys, my name is Ritik और आज मैं आ गया हूँ ओखला फेज 2 में जो कि न्यू दिल्ली के अंदर है विद अंकुर सोनी जो कि एक ब्रांड स्ट्रैटेजिस्ट हैं और जो मार्केटर हैं जिन्होंने काफ़ी बड़े बड़े ब्रांड्स के साथ काम किया है. उनके बारे में जानेंगे, उनकी लाइफस्टाइल जानेंगे. ऑल्सो विल टेल यू मोर अबाउट हाउ यू कैन बिकम अ मार्केटिंग मैनेजर एंड ऑल्सो सबसे ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट जो सबसे ज़्यादा लोग पूछते हैं कितना कमाते हो. So thank you so much, Ankur, for coming.
Thanks.
And really happy to host you. The first thing which audience wants to know about your background.
So Ritik, I come from a typical middle class family, wherein education was a primary thing. Yeah, पढ़ लो अच्छे से, right? So I did my schooling from Fangani Public School. This is in South Delhi. There I took up commerce as my specialization in 11th, 12th. Pretty good at economics, so I took up economics in my bachelor's, economics honors from Englishway College. But then, the backstory is that, coming from an 80s, 80s born, 90s bred kid, you would have like one TV in your house, right? So everyone in the family would come together and watch whatever you want to watch. And in my family, what would happen is everyone would wait for ads to come so that they can take a loo break. And I would want the ads to come because I was just fascinated by this, whole brand and advertising world. I didn't know what it's called, but I just always felt that this is something that would interest me for a long time and I can pick up this as my career. I didn't know what to, I didn't know what to call it, right? So while I was doing my bachelor's, at the back of my mind, it just, came into my thing that, hey, I want to kind of do my master's and my career in brand.
And which year are you talking about?
Yeah, so I was coming to that, right? So 2002, I completed my school. 2002 to 2005, I was doing economics honors. So like thoda sa old room hai. Right. So from there, I was very particularly clear that what I want to do in life in terms of the zone I want to be in, right? And I figured out that I want to do marketing only. And I also figured out that, I don't want to do a normal MBA course wherein you have choices of marketing, IT, HR, etc. Like sort of marketing communications kind of. And then I figured out the best college for that in India is MICA, which is Mudra Institute of Communications, Ahmedabad. Now it's called MICA, the School of Ideas. So I was like, meko yahi pe jana hai, right? So I attempted like 2-3 times. Finally, I got through. So 2007 to 9, I was there at MICA, to Ahmedabad. The only 2 years I was not in Delhi. Otherwise, all throughout my career and my life, I've been in Delhi. So that was like a turning phase in my life because not just say it could have happened with any college I would have entered, but there, I just realized that people were coming from different backgrounds, different cultures, different states, cities, and this was the first time I was getting exposed to such kind of a thing. And that kind of just opened my eyes for a lot of other things beyond brands and marketing,
Got it.
Yeah. So culturally, you saw a lot of things. Got it. But yes, definitely, since MICA is known for its very, in terms of the legacy that it's created and the kind of people that come out of MICA. And also the curriculum there was bang on in terms of what we expect, for marketers to do, whether it's advertisement, media, research, content, communication, PR, whatever. You kind of just mix it up and kind of form this curriculum. Got it. Yeah, so that was the journey until masters, and then got into my career.
So after your graduation, right, you have done economics honors, right? After economics honors, you just directly jump into the MBA or
no? Yeah, so I like I mentioned, I kind of gave like CAT 3 times. Took CAT like 3 times. So in between, I kind of worked also as a research analyst because that just kind of helped me. My economics background helped me, right? So I worked with Cognizant, the basic company, Marketaris, which was then taken over by Cognizant. So there, working on a lot of data and understanding how kind of showcase it to the world of what the problem is getting solved and what you get out of particular slides per se, right? So that was the basics of my, getting into.
Okay. During these years when you were attempting to crack CAT, right? Just want to understand, you were targeting MICA as a college, or mind में कोई और college था और फिर MICA select किया?
No. So there were a lot of see, the thing is that there are a lot of good colleges across India and across, beyond India also, of course, right?
ठीक है.
But I just felt that, even in the 2-3 years that I attempted to get into MICA, I got through a few good colleges in Delhi. Luckily, I've come from a family where there was no, restrictions on freedom, so you can move around. That was not the reason. It's just that I felt that, in Delhi, if you are in any college, right, you ultimately, meet people who are similar to you. And I just felt culturally, if you have to grow, you have to meet people from different cities or countries.
True.
It's not that I never tried, going out of India, but I just, once I got to know about MICA and also spoke to a few super seniors through my sister, who's senior to me, who's older to me, sorry. So I just realized that, this is the place I want to be.
So just to understand one thing, right? You have done economics honors, right? Yeah. Which is an entire different field.
Yeah.
Then you actually done the internship in research. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, when you're talking about cracking up a CAT, सबसे पहले तो मुझे स्कोर बता दो, क्या स्कोर आया था? तीन बार अटेम्प्ट किया, राइट? तो क्या स्कोर है? मुझे बस
तो फर्स्ट तो बताने लायक भी नहीं, राइट? It was around 69-70.
ठीक है.
Not even percentile. Second one was good. I mean, decent enough. I think 91-92 was it. So that's why I got to a few good colleges. But I just realized that I don't want to do that. So that's where my dad said, are you sure you want to just, take another chance? And I said, yes, I would take another chance. It's not easy to do that, but I said, no, I have a particular thing in my mind, and why not give it a chance? And also, see, I'll tell you, when we prepared for, CAT or any other competitive exams, the 3 times that I, kind of attempted, one first year I was still in college, right? So I was, doing my economics honors and attempted, right? So the focus wasn't there. The second year, I took up the proper classes, going to classes 2-3 days a week and then attempting it, right? But the third time, when I was working, that's the reason that I feel I kind of cracked at that point in time, because I think the attitude and aptitude changed. When in a corporate world, you meet a lot of people, you understand how to communicate, you understand a lot about businesses, about how to look at things.
Correct.
Beyond just, the bookish language. And that's why I always believe, at least it worked for me. I don't know how others see it, that if suppose someone is doing masters and if he gets a chance to kind of work in between, that just helps you grow a bit better. This is my learning.
So now you went to MICA, right?
Yeah.
After MICA, how's the life changed? Like, how was the experience?
Great. I mean, I cannot be more grateful to MICA and folks there. Yeah, I'm still in touch with them for different reasons. I still am on the panel to for the incoming batch. I take a lot of interviews for that, right?
Nice.
I was recently called there for a panel discussion. So I kind of still am in touch of the way it has evolved, right? But I just talk about what kind of it impacted me and how we grew from there.
Just to give you an understanding, let's suppose now after MICA. Prior to MICA, you were exploring your jobs and everything, and people were not giving you the chances.
Yeah.
But now, after you have done a 2 years MBA, right? Yeah. How's the life changed? How the companies react to the degrees?
So first of all, very, very positive, perspective here, right? Even post MICA, when I've been in this industry for the last 16-17 years, if not even me, if suppose someone else is there who's going to be there for an interview and says, "Are MICA se hai?" So already there's this perception built that gets built that since you're from a premium college, and it's not just premier from the perspective of name or legacy, but also people who've come out of it, they've built that legacy. It works both ways, right? One is from a curriculum perspective, and one then people who come out of it and then become big shots in the brand advertising, marketing, research space, right? So that just helps having a great alum network there from that perspective. Just coming out of MICA, the slightly unfortunate bit was that we were the 2009 pass out batch where the recession kind of creeped in, right? So we were just left with whatever was available to us, right? MICA until then had the opportunity that even if you kind of sit on two placements, get through that, you still had a chance to sit on another placement. You can still sit for
multiple designation, multiple job profiles.
Even if you get through one, you can still
still can get
right. for us, it was obviously not valid because they said even if you get through one, you're out of the placements. I don't want to blame the scenario there, but unfortunately, what happened is I got placed on the second or third day of placements. I was pretty happy that somewhere I've got a job, right? This was in January first week of 2009, right? And also the next 2-3 months I was chill. Cut to the second week of March, I get this notification from the company, wherein I was kind of placed that we are cutting your salary to 50%. If you want to join. Otherwise, tata bye bye. I had no other option, but kind of took it up. So the thing is, so while from a see, the thing is that unfortunately, whether in Micah or any other college, when you're young, you feel that, hey, I value more than what I'm getting right now. You have this pompousness inside you, right?
Correct.
Somewhere, it's not been ungrateful, but somewhere that kind of is a part of also growing up. I can't say, at this age or versus when I was 21, I'm the same Ankur. No, you grow.
Exactly.
Right? So that's just a part of growing up. Even I felt, I could have got more. But then, part of life, you just go on. So that's where the journey started. This was a startup again in Delhi NCR. I took up the job and I wasn't too happy about it. Not because the salary was cut to 50%, but also beyond that, just the vibe there and the upper management. You just feel that you kind of restricted and you want to do more and you're not able to spread your wings and stuff like that. But you have to be calm and composed and say that your time will also come. Just keep grinding, keep hustling, and that's kind of common even until today. When I see youngsters, they want to have the world in their feet. As soon as they pass out of their post-graduation or graduation.
Correct.
Works for a few, doesn't work for all of us. So you have to somewhere find a middle path of where you see yourself going and what you're doing to reach there.
Nice.
Right. So that's very important. I think that kind of brings the humbleness in you and helps you grow for a long run. Otherwise, this is not short term kind of a sprint. This is a marathon that you have to run.
Correct. So what I feel, Ankur, a lot of time people, and I'm just going to come back to you, right? And I want to also going to talk about numbers. Most of the time, people have a mindset कि मेरे पापा ने 20 लाख रुपए लगाए हैं MBA पे, ठीक है, मैं 5 लाख की जॉब क्यों करूं? मैं तो 20 लाख रुपए या फिर 40 लाख रुपए या फिर किसी MD में ही जाऊंगा, किसी मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर ही बनूंगा डायरेक्टली. I will not gonna hustle because my father spent 20 lakh rupees on MBA. Approximately 20 lakhs of फीस थी, 10 लाख रुपए का ऊपर एक्सपेंस था, 30 लाख रुपए मेरे माँ बाप ने खर्च किए हैं. अब मैं अगर माँ बाप के पास जाता हूँ 10 लाख का या 5 लाख का पैकेज लेके, हाउ दे गोना रिएक्ट ऑन दैट? बिकॉज मैं तो प्लेसमेंट मैंने तो कॉलेज में इसलिए लिया था एडमिशन क्योंकि एवरेज प्लेसमेंट इन्होंने 22 लाख रुपए दिखाई थी. So want to understand from your side. पहली चीज तो उस टाइम माइका की फीस क्या थी और खुद स्पॉन्सर करी, कैसे किया, अरेंज किया, राइट? एंड दूसरी चीज, जो फर्स्ट जॉब आप कह रहे हो 50% जो कट हो गया, so मुझे जरा numbers बता दो. Love to know about the numbers.
I'll get to the fees, right? So this was around 8,25,000, 8 lakh basically.
और ये कब की बात है?
2007.
Yeah. अच्छा.
This has of course multifold right now, right?
Correct.
Where I arranged for it, first of all, I was very clear of how I'm going to get it, right? One is since I've worked before that for 1.5 years, I had a little bit of savings. ऐसा नहीं कि I could cover the entire 8 lakh. But then I said, I'll take loan. And then my dad said, you want to take a loan, typical middle class family, या तो they'll say, take a loan, I don't have money. Or they'll say, take it from me and give it back to me.
Give it back.
Rather than giving the interest to bank. So I said fine, but what I'll do is I was actually, I did it. It's not that I'm just saying it in front of the camera.
Correct.
We did it because there was some money that I contributed. I have an elder sister who's kind of very dear to me. She said, okay, I'll contribute some money. And then of course I took some money from my dad.
And it's a beautiful thing because at the end of the day, a lot of people get into the education loan trap, right? What they do is, ego के चक्कर में कि मेरे पास मैं अपने पापा से पैसे नहीं लूंगा या अपने घर वालों से पैसे नहीं लूंगा, what they do is they end up getting into some XYZ job. In your case, you were okay with the 50% cut. But आप सोचो अगर आपने लोन लिया होता उस टाइम तो 50% जो कट होता वो कितना दुख होता.
So the thing is that one could have covered the fees in the first 1.5-2 years, but of course there was a cut, so I couldn't. At the same time, I'll tell you two things. Then, for a lot of my friends had taken loan from banks, and it was until 4-5 years they would still tell me, "यार, अब तक मैंने loan pay नहीं किया, अब तक मैंने loan pay नहीं किया." So that of course is a thing, and I'm not saying that's bad. Honestly, until I started doing my economics, I always felt loans are bad. But I realized two places wherein loans are still okay. One was from education perspective. Honestly, I still believe that it's fine. I don't advocate taking loan for personal reasons. Having said that, because I feel that I'm kind of fortunate enough to have that cushion around it. That is what I'm saying.
Correct.
There are people who struggle a lot and they end up taking it. So that's what I believe. I'm just talking from my perspective. And the second one that I feel a loan still is valid in my head is for a house loan. Again, debatable, but
correct. But at the same point of time, when you're taking a house loan, right? It's an asset loan, right? You understand it, and at the same level, you also get a very good on a very good rates. But education loans is like, once you just end up your education, it like goes like to you, and every single time you are, and also ultimately you're also hampering your own growth, because अब आपको क्या पता है, आपको कंपनी को भी पता है कि इस बंदे ने लोन ले रखा है, एजुकेशन लोन, ये कॉलेज को भी पता है, ये कंपनी को भी पता है, उसको पता है, एंड दे टॉर्च यू इन दैट केस, राइट? बिकॉज उनको पता है कि लोन ले रखा है 50,000 को, मतलब 20,000 रुपए इसकी EMI जानी है. इफ ही इज नॉट वर्किंग वेल, अगर हम इनको कहेंगे कि नहीं भाई हम आपको निकाल देंगे, देयर इज ऑलवेज अ बैक ऑफ द माइंड, राइट? वो फियर रहता है.
There are a lot of cases on both sides.
And career कहीं ना कहीं हैम्पर होता है इस वजह से. And in your case, you were very fortunate that you have taken up the job in 50% cut pay, because you want to have an experience, you want to take it up. A lot of time people can't do it. People will like कि dude, अगर कुछ 50% off पे 50% अगर cut करोगे तो फिर.
So but we have no options at that point. I'll also tell you one thing is that I was lucky to get the job in Delhi NCR. I would have loved to explore other cities like Bombay or Bangalore, right? But at the back of my head there was always this thing, I'll go there, I have to pay rent, I'll have to figure out a lot of things, and there'll be travel. So there'll be a lot of other expenses. Anyways, I'm getting cut in terms of salary. So I said, that's not going to work, because for a lot of my friends who were in Mumbai, and I just felt, for the college ke baad, still want to be with friends and stuff like that. I said, either I take that chance of, finding a job there. But I didn't. I just felt that, I can either say that it's my comfort zone from Delhi, and, having my family around for a lot of support. And also, 2 years was good enough for time for me to not be in Delhi, to just come back and say I want to be with my family.
Correct. So I think you were very good economics students, because you understand the...
So economics actually played a lot of role in a lot of other decisions also, and I'll just take you, like I'll just jump or two. So now when I'm kind of in the panel for the incoming batches for a few colleges, I just realized a lot of folks, and this is a negative for me when I see this in folks, that you are fortunate to have a good financial and sound background, right? But there are a lot of folks who didn't know what the face of MICA is, or the college that they're going into is, right? They've not even bothered to understand whether it's 22 lakh rupees or 25 lakh rupees, right? And even if it is, they know about that, they don't know what's the rate of interest for if I take a loan, right? So I think at 21, 22, 23, 24, whenever you're doing a master's, I think this much sense should be there in you that you're going to take up something which is going to, you have to pay for it, and then it will give you returns. So I think people don't do that calculations. This is a very, very basic, sanity check calculations.
Correct.
I think youngsters, are not blaming them, but I'm just saying that people should be aware.
Ankur, just want to understand one thing. आपने जब फाइनल ईयर हुआ उसके बाद आपने जॉब करी, राइट? योर फर्स्ट जॉब वाज इन अ स्टार्टअप. स्टार्टअप किस बारे में था, एंड कितने टाइम तक जॉब करी, राइट? एंड जब स्विच किया तो कैसे स्विच किया?
Okay. So I was there for around 1.5 years, almost 1.5 years.
1.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was basically a digital marketing agency, wherein we had clients from across the globe, Microsoft and Nike. So I think that journey also continued, because that point in time digital was just picking up, right? So I just felt that I've got this opportunity, I shouldn't crib so much, and just let things go on and just learn it from on the go, right? Then while I started looking out, I also had this thing in my mind that, hey, I'm 23, 24, and I don't have that much baggage. I have a few ideas, I want to try it out as an entrepreneur and start off something of my own at this age, right? I'm talking 2010, 11, wherein right now,
entrepreneurship is fancy. It's fancy,
right? Back then, it wasn't that big a thing to do.
Also, I feel that marketing was also not fancy at that point of time.
Yeah, still, as I said, digital was picking up, so a lot of things were coming in that sense, right? So I said, two things. One is, like I said, economics played an important role. I said opportunity cost is less. I don't have that much salary, right? I have an idea. I should try it out, and otherwise, what we'll see, I don't want to have a regret in my life that I didn't try out. Worst case, I'll fail. And there's nothing called failed startup. There's always a learning that you'll get from it, right? Luckily, had a good sense because two folks who would kind of come with me, coming from different backgrounds, kind of tied up, kind of collaborated with two of my friends, and we started something in the health tech space. This was 2010, 11. Wanted to be like the one-stop solution for all financial and wellness needs, right? Right now we call it marketplace, and then we were trying to do too many things at one point in time, right? But then those 12 months or 10, 12 months were so, how do I say, so great in the sense that the best 10, 12 months of my life in terms of how I improved as a professional or as an individual, in terms of growth, right? If I understood a lot from business perspective, that was very important for me before I kind of got into other things. Secondly, you understood a lot of people, because we were trying to, like I said, trying to be a marketplace for a lot of things, right? For example, the startup was basically called Hawk, which is Health and Wellness Connected. Wherein if you as a customer is coming onto the platform, you can get yoga classes, you can get gym classes.
At that point in time, like
2010. Yeah, right? 2010, 11, right? That was only from B2C, right? From B2B, if a gym owner wants a trainer, I'll provide the HR services. If a gym owner wants machinery, whether it's first hand or second hand, I would want to be that platform, right? If I'm talking to a physiotherapist, right, for example, and a physiotherapist who, for example, is working with, say, the biggest IPL teams, right? How can I collaborate with them, right? If I want to create a marketplace for health and nutritional products, how can I, talk about that, right? So we met a lot of CEOs also of big, nutritional companies back then, like, for example, now we talk about MBs of the world, Magic Place, Muscle Place, for example,
Muscle Place,
and the likes, right? Health Card, what Health Card is doing, right? So a similar thing, but what we realized why we didn't kind of were able to crack it was because we were naive in the sense that we didn't have a concrete business plan, right? We said that we are heading out to do something. We met a few folks and they said, hey, while there were a lot of folks we met who were good in terms of guiding us better, we were 24, 25, still, early stage of a career, right? Some of them helped us guide that. Some of them, they played around for their own benefit, right? I would just put it up like that. But then there was a lot of learning in that sense, how to shape it. And we were trying to pivot every week, in that sense, Acha, ye nahi chal raha, ye change kar do, ye nahi chal raha, ye change kar do. So you have to have that conviction that an idea, you have to at least stretch it to a certain level before you say that this is not working out. Right. So I think I just learned that the next time I'll do it, I'll have a proper learning in terms of what I intend to do in the next 3 months' time. Don't take a 5-year route, don't take a 3-year route. Take a 3-month time, 6-month time, and a 12-month route, for yourself, And secondly, we were trying to do a lot of things in-house. Right? I just learned it there is a reason it's called, jiska kaam usi ko saaje.
Outsourcing.
Right? So outsource the right things to the right people, get it done in, there are always options which give you cheaper options or, costlier options. So we were trying to do too many things in-house that kind of hampered how we kind of...
Okay, so you were 3 guys working on a idea, right? And for 12 months, you were not able to make any money.
We were like here and there we were making some money, but
but वो salaries के हिसाब से वो salary
I'll tell you what. So the
interesting.
The thing is we were not coming from higher salary packages, that we have to reach that level. Secondly, so the opportunity cost less, right? Secondly, what is the capital? The capital is that you have your laptops, you have the internet connection. We are sitting in the garage of one of the person's house.
Okay.
Right? So that thing is taken care of. The capital is human capital. Right, the opportunity cost is there, and have I, if I kind of work somewhere, I would have earned 10 lakh, 12 lakh, whatever, right?
Correct.
That is definitely a loss. But you're not really paying anyone anything beyond just obviously spending money to make website or
Got it.
stuff.
And
like
you were not having any employees at that point.
We were few folks, and then we had a few folks who were kind of working on freelance basis.
Okay.
With us, like making a website or working on collaterals.
Got it. Total, अगर मैं बात करूँ आपके experience की, so in after the college you get into a startup, right? Would you advise people to get into startup just after college? Because a lot of time people are confused. They come back to me. They are asking me these questions, and these questions are very common. That should we select startup? Should we select a big company or an MNC? Right now, it's very interesting. Now, after working for 15 months, right, with different domains and like getting everything out, then you started your own startup, right? And 12 months you haven't get any like amount. 12 महीने बिल्कुल सूखा, कोई पैसा नहीं. It's very interesting. तो do you feel कि ये route as a MBA professional क्या किसी को लेना चाहिए जो देख रहा है कि काम करके then doing a startup or something, और कुछ learnings हैं ऐसी जो आप discuss कर सकते हो जो आप सोचो कि अगर ये learning मुझे पहले से होती तो मैं ये गलती नहीं करता.
नहीं, see the thing is, Ritik, I am where I am right now because of whatever I've done, good or bad, right? I am speaking about my mistakes or whatever I've learned even in those 15 months or even.
आपको लगता है 15 months के बाद startup करना बिल्कुल एक बहुत ज़्यादा unconventional था उस time?
नहीं. I'll tell you what. Of course, things have changed drastically. In fact, they've improved, right? So the first question is that if people should join startups post their graduation,
correct,
definitely can explore. Right now, see, the thing is, it's not everything is coexisting. Bigger companies are coexisting with smaller companies as well as startups, right? So I don't think this question should be there in people's mind. You should think about your profile. You should think about the people who will be there. Right? You should think about what you, from a growth perspective, what you see, right?
Correct.
And see, the thing is, the risk would always be there. Even in bigger companies, there's always good and bad, right? In bigger companies, if there is always a set system, wherein you do things. In startups, you are building the system, right? So the learning is different. There, the learning is different.
Because why I'm asking this question, as working in a startup, Ankur, right? You understand so much pain. I worked with Credence, right? These guys are these guys are so big, right? I work with Myang Bateja, Avinash. And these guys coming out of with a very good background, with a very good credibility, and these guys are working in a house class, like छोटे से हम basement में काम कर रहे थे हम लोग, right? And at that point of time, I realized there was so much to learn, and at the same time, I understand कितना pain है एक startup को चलाने के लिए. Correct.
Yeah.
But at that point of time in 2010, you were talking about, उस time तो ना funding थी, ना mentor थे, ना mentorship जैसी कोई चीज थी.
Funding तो हमें पता था.
ना funding तो पता भी नहीं था, right? Mentorship नहीं थी. So didn't you realize कि इतना pain है, और अभी मैं तो सिर्फ अभी निकल के आया हूँ कॉलेज से, अब मैं देख रहा हूँ 15 महीने सब भाग दौड़ है. अब मैं उस भाग दौड़ का सिर्फ पार्ट नहीं, मैं मेन एज अ हीरो बनना चाहता हूँ. Don't you feel कि वो एक बहुत थोड़ा जल्दी decision था?
No, I think it was in fact late, honestly. See, higher the risk, higher the gains, right? Suppose
also convince कैसे किया वो बाकी लोगों को? कंपनी में काम करते थे बाकी भी.
So one of them was working in the company.
In the same company.
The second one, not in the same company, but a different company. One of them was my dear friend from school, right? Shout out to Jeevan. Right. So the thing is that so we realized that our skills are complementary. I was coming from media, digital marketing background. This guy was coming from a health background, right? And the other one was also coming from media events background. So if we combine all of this together and more operational in nature, we can build a product, right? Now we're talking about, and I'm glad I'm taking this opportunity to talk about that, right? We're talking about something which didn't work. What if it worked? We would have been in a fancy place and you would have taken my
exactly. True.
You come together, right? True. So the thing is that there are always these chances. I lost money from that perspective. Yes, I would have definitely whatever I would have earned, right? But that's a chance you take. Has it hit my net worth right now? I don't think so. Right?
Got it.
Because the net worth, not from a monetary perspective, but the value that is given to me in terms of my learning or my growth. I can talk to you right now about a few things that maybe others cannot, who have jumped directly into jobs.
Parents ने कैसे react किया जब startup wind up करने की बात?
So they were supportive, honestly. Beach mein like kya karta kya, always, so all parents have this thing, what is that you do, and they were not sure, but maybe they had that conviction in me that he'll do something,
Correct.
If
he will figure it out.
He'll figure it out, right? I have my elder sister who was supporting me. I'm backing you, do whatever, right? We can have a different podcast from my family, but she's been the backbone, for our family for a long time. So in every sense, like I told you, I did economics honors after understanding. She was also doing economics honors from NSR, right? So I saw her books and I was like, "Acha, ye to main kar hi sakta hu," right? So I did my before even I did my my preparation for my MBAs. When she was doing her MBA preparation, I would see her documents or booklets and say, this is interesting space. So I think she became someone who would take
kind
that
of a
part,
mentor,
take that part first before me, and just became easier for me. So I think shout out to Shweta if she's seeing this. I'll just make her see this video. So that's a different story. But then every one of the family members who are kind of supportive, they have their own ambitions and fears, but they never kind of.
ठीक है. उसके बाद कितने महीने बाद, कितने टाइम बाद you get a second job?
I think immediately. I think that worked because Micah से education है, right?
अच्छा.
So it's not that कि first interview में हो गया, but I think within the next 30 odd days,
you get it. And that point of time, like now the LinkedIn is very prominent, right? Naukri is like a next big thing. But उस time कैसे job apply करता था? उस टाइम भी नौकरी तो था.
नौकरी started out.
नौकरी तो था उस टाइम. मोस्टर जॉब, नौकरी, ये सब थे.
All of these people.
But नौकरी से ही जॉब लेके नौकरी पे अप्लाई.
नहीं, I'll tell you what happened. Also two things. Sorry. LinkedIn से मिला उस टाइम पे. Through LinkedIn. So they had posted.
LinkedIn में prominent था उस टाइम की जॉब.
हो गया था. Starting हो गया था.
अच्छा.
In fact, I still remember 2 seniors had kind of pinged me, saying that.
On LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn because I kind of. This is from the same team, right? I was like, sir, I'm already in discussion with your teams. Like, great, chalo, theek.
Nice.
So I think that kind of worked. So that was not a challenge. Having said that, interviews, I call it, right now when I take interviews, I don't call it interviews. I say interaction.
Discussions.
Interactions. Because, I also faced, hyper, extensive interviews in the sense कि बहुत pressure वाला interviews. I faced that also. So I just realized that, of course, I had my own shortcomings, right, in terms of speaking out or stuff like that, right? So if suppose someone is pushing you to kind of cross, your boundaries or you cross your fears, you feel, why is it so? You're too comfortable with that.
Correct.
But then you realize that he's doing it for your benefit, right?
Correct.
But at the same time, you have to figure out that, you're talking to a person. It shouldn't be dependent on or the designation or the experience that he has. So I just keep it a bit more normalized interaction, while also understanding where he's coming from, what's his skill set, what's his education, and I'm taking interviews.
Got it. What kind of a designation you get after the startup? Like you ended the startup. उसके बाद कौन से designation पे आप?
So this was called project manager.
Project manager.
Basically account manager, project manager.
Got it.
Now we have fancy designations. I think I was lucky enough to have someone in my team who kind of very well put it out that don't run after designations. Back then.
Nice.
I said, are you doing it so that I come at a junior position?
Correct.
But he said, he kind of confirmed this to me that once you join, then you realize that it's not about project manager or account manager or director. When you come, you'll understand why I'm saying this. I think I that those 2.5 years working in that agency was great enough.
And that agency was also into marketing and everything.
Yeah, digital marketing.
Sure. So you were as a project manager over there. So handling the client. And कैसा experience था?
Great. I think again continued something जो थोड़ा बीच में छोड़ा था पहले, right? From a digital marketing perspective, right? And I think what also helped is if things have changed right now. Things have become more evolved in terms of digital marketing. Everyone knows a lot of things. Right? Back then, everyone was just exploring.
Okay.
Right? So we were part of the team who would kind of explore. So we were just figuring out, ye right hai ya nahi hai.
Okay.
Right? So there were not a lot of case studies to kind of go back and check. There were a lot of material, of course, but we were learning on the job, right? Not only from a product perspective or from a project perspective, but also as an industry, people were evolving. This I'm talking 2011, 12.
Got it. Do you want to share something जहाँ पे कोई campaign run किया हो कुछ?
A lot. So a lot of clients. So Airtel was my client. GM was my client, right? Hero was my client. So interestingly, we picked up Hero not as a B2C version of it, right? We were dealing with dealers.
Okay,
right?
You were dealing with dealers,
right?
Okay.
So we're building portals for them. Right? So Hero realized that they want to showcase how vast their network is. And if I'm sitting right now in Ookla, right, my only thing is that I'll search Hero showroom near me.
Got it.
For example, right? And if I get Hero showroom in Ookla, right, I should be, as a user, I should be able to see his photographs or what is there, what models are available in his showroom, right?
Got it.
So I think they kind of created that back-end work of creating, microsites for them.
Got it.
Slightly, I wouldn't say new as a concept. There were always microsites for a long time, but just as a project, it helped me understand it. And then when you meet people from different backgrounds, the gentry is different, right? Dealers think different, work differently, right?
Correct.
Sitting in fancy AC offices, you'll just feel that I need to create a Hero ad for my consumers. But also you have to see in the chain of, the entire thing of how the product will go from the factory to the dealers to the showroom to the consumer.
Got it.
There's a big chain, which is a touch point for the users, right? So I just ended up meeting a lot of these dealers and understood their psyches better. So now when I kind of go back for any B2B campaigns to be run, I just realized that while we're targeting still a human being, the gentry is different, the ambitions are different, and you have to figure out that whether you're working from B2B or B2B2C. So I think that is a big learning for me as an individual, as a partner.
Got it. Again, come back to the job, right? You applied for a project manager role. A lot of people, I've seen in marketing also, when we were in college, right? I have done BBA. The marketing was also the subject. So I was reading कि वो ये घड़ी साबुन और ये सब कैसे market हुए, right? And it was so bad examples because it's unrelatable to us right now, because Fena कैसे popular हुआ उस time. So again, it's unrelatable, right? Wanted to understand कि your education is from MICA. You told me that you have done having a very good experience with MICA. Again, you done the job, then you switch to your own startup, then again you work for an agency, right? Now, when you're talking about all these steps, can you just guide a person who is watching this podcast, who is in his first or second year of the college, right, and doing a marketing and wanted to get into maybe a good company, or maybe wanted to get into this domain entirely? What's the hardships and what's the interesting part of the job roles? Because I honestly know कि project managers बनना, it's a task, bro. Client कुछ और कह रहा है, आपके लोग कुछ stakeholders कुछ और कह रहे हैं.
So I'll just take you a step back, right? Even when we were in MICA, right, the biggest thing is that everyone wanted to be in FMCGs.
Okay.
The reason is simple. The first exposure to anything which is marketing is when you see ads. And there's this glorification or a glamour attached to ads. That it's coming on TV, so my dad never worked in bigger companies. I was asking him where he works. Like I work with Cellora or Dynora, which is a TV making company, and they would supply to say Panasonic of the world, right? I was like, आप उस company में काम क्यों नहीं करते जिसकी ad TV आती है? Without realizing, just TV पे मैं ad देख रहा हूँ, that is a Cellora TV, right? So the thing is that there was always this fascination of FMCG as a thing to be into, first of all, right? So that fascination is still there, right? Right now, if you see. If you talk about to any marketer, the first thing they'll say, I like Zomato ads, I like Uber ads, or the top viral ads, credit ki ads mujhe pasand hai, right? You're just looking at the face of what it is there, right? What goes behind building a brand. And first, let's break down marketing as that it's not a field which is only advertising, right? There's market research, there's communications, there's brand. There is now AI as a technology that has come into picture. There is digital marketing, there is traditional media. There is a lot of other things that there's content, right? What we're creating right now, and the different platforms, right? When you come, kind of take everything, mix it together. That is where marketing, should be understood as a subject, as a field, or as what we're getting into, right? Now, a lot of students who even I've kind of interacted with, they come up with a very minuscule understanding about what they want to do from marketing.
Got it.
The glamour part of it.
Got it.
Right? The
Got it.
advertising. You should understand that any ad that gets made. Even in fact, yesterday I was speaking to an agency for a big ad that we're going to create. Right. There are 12 folks sitting in the agency, talking to us as clients, for example. Right. There's one creative person. There's one who's writing a script. There is one production guy, right? There's one who's handling the account, so that he becomes the bridge between the client and the agency. There are 3 other folks who are working on content writing or copywriting. There's one creative director, right? So there's a whole lot of team and work that goes behind a single campaign. Any ad, for example, let's take an ad, right? And even, for example, creating or producing a content, then there are 10 other things if you get into production and post-production, and then you get into the media of it, right? So there's a whole lot of chain and people connected with the entire process, ultimately leading to the end product, right? And then there are other cross-functional things, like sales ke logo ko kya chahiye, right? Or finances having their own issues that I don't have XYZ budget.
Correct.
Or I'm talking to the CEO who wants, matrices that if I run this ad, how my sales going to turn, right? So there's a lot of pressure on the product manager team also, whether from an agency side or even from the client side, who's kind of being the center of or being the bridge, center focal point to kind of bring everything together. So don't get into the glam. Yes, it should attract you and it should definitely be a point that should motivate you to kind of start the day. Arey, theek hai, kuch campaign banayenge so that it runs on TV and I'll tell my friends ki maine karna. That is fine, definitely, right? But also be, intelligent enough to understand that there's a lot beyond just the first thing that you see.
Okay, got it. Coming back to you, right?
Sorry, I just missed the biggest part.
No. Let me reframe it, right? Let's suppose you are now taking interviews, right?
Yeah.
You actually have given so many interviews. Tell me the experiences. Tell me about the questions which actually somebody needs to be prepared while going forward with a marketing role.
Yeah. So, see, if you now go and search, top 10 interview questions, you get 10,000 lists.
Correct.
But what I feel is that if you're comfortable with your subject matter, and if you are kind of really aligned, and if you are still reading up on a lot of things, you're updated with the trends, right? You wouldn't feel the pressure of giving an interview, right? So for me, I was just re-articulated to say that you don't need to prepare for an interview a day before the interview if on daily basis you're doing something that is enhancing your personality or enhancing your knowledge. One is this, right? Secondly, if you are anyways passionate about something that you want to do, you will be consuming that content. You will be framing questions accordingly to answer things related to the field. One is related to the field, and the other one is being a bit more self-aware of where you stand, right? From a personal perspective or from a personal growth perspective, what are my say gap areas? What are my good points, great points? What I add value to the thing, right?
Cool.
So I think the questions will formulate themselves. There are 10, 20 questions. Tell me something about yourself. How do you bring value to the consumer or to the team or XYZ things, right? I don't want to tell you those 10 things.
Okay.
Those things are
okay. So would you recommend somebody who's watching this podcast and want to get into marketing, right? Would you recommend कि जिनका let's suppose FMCG में interest है, automobile में interest है, या फिर किसी edtech product में interest है, right? वो उसी product के ऊपर या फिर उसी product को double down करके ही marketing domain में जाए, या versus they figure out कि a lot of time people what they do is they apply to a random jobs, right? Marketing, branding, brand communication, हर जगह apply कर देते हैं just because they figure out कि सब चीजें एक ही हैं, right? Do you feel कि ये problem अभी भी है, लोग बहुत जगह apply करते हैं? Also, क्या लोगों को ऐसा करना चाहिए? They need to be very centric towards the role, also the industry, they are getting into? Because a lot of time automobiles की marketing versus edtech company की marketing अलग है.
Yeah, of course. So two ways to look at it, right? I've seen careers. I have my own friends or in family and who've kind of stuck to one genre, like one segment, right? There's a friend who's in one bank for the last, or the banking sector for the last 15 years, right? He's only stuck with banking sector, right? Great for him. He's doing great for himself, right? Is it good for me, or would it be had been good for me? I don't think so, right? From a marketing perspective, right? From a marketing perspective, I shaped my career wherein I said that I want to be functionally great, right? From marketing, I want to be wanting to have a knowledge about everything else. I don't want to be sector specific, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm just saying it's a very personal choice, right? Both the careers coexist. There'll be people that, in fact, there are job opportunities wherein there is specifically written people only from education background, please apply. Because they understand the role requires you to have background knowledge of a lot of the segment. Correct. Right? But at the same time, a lot of companies were open to have people from diverse background so that, you bring different value to the table. Right? So I think both of these coexist. There's no right or wrong in that perspective. My only thing would be that if, again, job hunting again is a much more deeper discussion here. But if you are, think of it, you're going into a great big building and you're just throwing your resumes, for example, right? It won't land into any other in any office. Correct. It's the same thing when we apply everywhere. Correct. Right? Clicking easy apply. Correct. Right? Correct. Instead, figure out that either you're too desperate of saying कि मुझे कुछ भी मिल जाए मैं कर लूँगा, right? ठीक है. Or you figure out नहीं मुझे सिर्फ marketing में करना है, marketing में सिर्फ branding में करना है. ठीक है. या मुझे सिर्फ advertising में करना है. ठीक है. Then you kind of jot down that thing. ठीक है. या you say कि मुझे सिर्फ अब मैं segments पे आता हूँ, मुझे सिर्फ automobile में करना है, right? या सिर्फ इसमें करना है. Right. So first you'll have to kind of at least dissect what you have in front of you. It's like a typical even problems how you see. Dissect the problems and funnel it out. Saying कि यार ये नहीं करना, इतना करना है. इसमें से 4 चीजें ये हैं, ये करनी है, ये नहीं करनी है. And then when you make a list of it, then you'll understand how easy it is to kind of have a much more productive apply. Got it. Right. If you understand कि 4 companies तो हैं suppose. अच्छा, ठीक है. तो then I'll make effort to reach HR of those companies. Or suppose if I know मेरे को job मिलेगी, I'm like 5 years into the system, तो मुझे of course management training नहीं मिलेगा, मुझे marketing manager मिलेगा. So I'll reach out to senior managers of those teams or CMOs of those teams. Got it. So I think that filtering out you have to do. Got it. Because a lot of time people what they do is they end up picking up the highest packages. That's the Indian mentality, right? Yeah. They don't go for the segments. They don't go for sectors. They feel like ये अच्छा अगर ऑटोमोबाइल में इंटरेस्ट है तो मैं FMCG में चला जाता हूँ क्योंकि FMCG में पैसा ज़्यादा मिल रहा है, right? ऑटोमोबाइल्स में इतना पैसा नहीं मिल रहा. Yeah. So, totally agree on that. Yeah. Now coming back to you, आपने जॉब करी, right? स्टार्टअप के बाद, right? सैलरी कुछ अगर आप थोड़ा एस्टिमेशन अगर रफ बताओ थोड़ा सा क्या. So I said 8 lakh rupees bike fees था. I could have made that in a 2 year. In 1 year's time. In a 1 year time. So 8-10 lakh was the range, that range. जब switch किया, जब आपने startup से then again you go back to the company, right? They were like ये इसको gap year मान रहे थे वो लोग कैसा? I think that was a pretty chill interview in the sense that they could understand the value that I would bring. Nice. Whatever little experience I had, right? And I think varied experience की research analyst भी है, Micah से की है, and then whatever little experience. And then I think it's a great part of great teams that build is that they see you as not only from a skill perspective but from an attitude perspective. Got it. So I think that is important that I've also learned it that way. Got it. And कितना time काम किया? 2.5 years. 2.5 years. 2.5 years के बाद how you so that point, see, we were at the cusp of now digital being the thing now almost, right? So I'm talking 2014. So 2014, 15, correct. So that point I took this strong decision of saying that what is my end goal, right? I want to say suppose 15-20 years into my experience I want to lead the marketing team of a big organization, for example. Either I can say I can be like a specialist, I can do only digital, I take that route, or I can be a journalist and have an understanding of different aspects of marketing and then take that route, right? Again, I was not fixed with the designation. I was more fixed with the profile.
Got it.
Right. So I said the next route for me should be that I should, complement or add the traditional media understanding to my digital media experience, and that's why I joined one of the biggest media agencies. Right, I was there for 4.5, 5 years. Right?
Wow, crazy.
Yeah. So then I was working like Google was my client from day one.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So therein again, Google was in the transformation stage wherein they were also focusing more on getting newer audience. So going beyond digital advertising to large scale TV, print, radio, out of home. So I was part of that team. Again, when I joined, it was three to 4 year team members. By the time I left, we were 155, like a proper organization perspective, right? So because the count grew so much and everything blew up, right? So there, without mentioning much about campaigns, but I kind of added the traditional media space. Now you would have good knowledge about TV planning, strategy, print, radio, as I mentioned, right? And then also grew individually to kind of lead a team which was under me in terms of having 10, 12 folks under you as teammates to kind of also get that experience of leading, folks.
Got it. So you actually done the 4 year wala achieve. 4.5 years, right? Can you also share me about the growth? Let's suppose you joined it at what designation? कैसे growth हुई? कैसे promotion हुआ?
Yeah. So दो ही growth patterns हुए थे, like proper like designation. फिर group head से you become account director, business director, whatever, right? I think more than that, I say that designation again, it is important. I'm not saying it's not important, but don't just. I'm keep on harping on this. Don't run after designation, right? Because they're fancy designations even in agencies, right? What if you are director in an agency? Your value is still like a marketing manager in a big corporate, right? So don't go by what is there on LinkedIn as designations, but just the growth pattern. Like I said, the team grew, right? My profile grew, right? I started learning about TV planning. I start on those tools to imagine you are like 7 years into your experience and you're asking someone who's like 3 years into the system to say यार मुझे सिखा दे because I don't know this. And it's like, sir, आप क्यों सीखना चाह रहे हो? Like, see, the thing is that these are basics. If I don't know these basics, मैं client को जाके क्या बोलूँगा, right? So I think you just take that chance of saying that you have to hustle, keep on hustling, even if you've reached a certain 7 साल 10 साल 12 साल 15 साल whatever. You have to keep hustling in some way or the other, right? And then team grew and the management had confidence that Ankur would be able to lead at least a part of the team, not the entire team. Of course I had seniors who were above me to kind of help direct, and they were leaders who I still adore and shout out to them, but so that was a great experience there.
Just to come back to the question, let's suppose somebody joined as a junior brand manager, consultant, or whatever, right? What's the career path to become like on a top level?
So I think there's no one answer to it, honestly, right? Because they're different.
Can you just break down the destination?
I'll tell you. Try to break it down for agency setups, right? So typically in agencies, you join as an account executive, right? Then you become managers, right? Then you become group heads. Now group heads is technically just like a senior manager of sorts, right? Then there are new designations called associate business directors.
Got it.
Then they are business directors, right? Then they are client leads. Then they are business leads or client heads or leaders. Right?
Got it.
So A, B, C, D, whatever you can call it.
Got it.
The thing is that you should understand that whether agency or in brand, the path is always that you first will have to get your hands dirty.
Okay. Right? So ये account executive से लेके you talk about the journey. Don't you feel a journey तो एक client side के लिए, but a person who is sitting at a branding table, doing the branding और जो backend पे बैठा हुआ है, उसके लिए तो career path बिल्कुल अलग है. वो brand consultant है, उसके बाद वो senior brand consultant बनता है, वो brand communication manager बनता है, then वो lead कर रहा होता है. So again, Cool.
Sorry, the bottom line is the designations may be anything, but actually it's like that you have to kind of work your way out, right? First, you have to understand the basics, right? Get a bit more comfortable in it, then become someone who's a bit more like a manager. Then you'll have people under you.
ठीक है.
May or may not.
ठीक है.
So,
ठीक है.
right.
ठीक है. Got it. 2017 से लेके 2019 की बात है जहाँ पे डिजिटल मार्केटिंग के इंस्टीट्यूट दिल्ली के हर कॉर्नर पे खुल गए थे एंड पीपल वर लाइक सो क्रेजी अबाउट डिजिटल मार्केटिंग इवन स्टूडेंट्स इवन कॉलेज सब कुछ डिजिटल मार्केटिंग के ऊपर फोर्स कर रहा था सब लोगों को एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम हाउ यू रिएक्ट टू दिस सिचुएशन एंड ऑल्सो मे बी यू वर हायरिंग पीपल कैसे एक सर्टिफिकेट के बेसिस पे लोग आके आपसे कहते थे कि नहीं वी आर एलिजिबल टू डू दी मार्केटिंग और हम लाख रुपए का बजट प्लान कर सकते हैं.
So, two perspectives. One is that, of course, as an opportunity, it gave opportunity for a lot of people to upskill and, get into the working, segment, because there are a lot of people who come from smaller cities or smaller schools or, not doing much or not so great courses, for example, right? So, opportunity for them, definitely. But what happened is, since everyone started opening institutes that become like tuition center
बिल्कुल.
So the quality suffered drastically, right? Because in terms of everyone thinks that they know about digital marketing, they'll do a few things or read about a few articles and say कि मेरे को आता है, and then they'll start giving certificates. Quality suffered definitely, right? So and in fact I have interviewed a lot of folks who would just come up to me say कि सर मैंने बस ये 3 महीने का कोर्स किया, मुझे जॉब दे दो, right? Having said that, I'm not saying that they were not good people. There were a lot of good people who would come out of it, but overall quality definitely suffered, is what I want to say, right? Secondly, that you mentioned in terms of hiring, right? That point in time also we were hiring for a lot of folks in terms of after I moved out of the agency sector, right? Started working with startups. Therein, there was a lot of issues with getting the right audience, right person, because as a person who's leading a brand, right, or a marketing function, right, you don't want someone who just knows कि मुझे ये 4 चीजें आती है, मैं कर दूंगा, आपको मैं SEO बढ़ा दूंगा, आपका ट्रैफिक बढ़ा दूंगा, राइट, और या मैं सिर्फ आपका कैंपेन रन कर दूंगा, राइट. there's a sense which should be much more much more functional in nature. आपको मार्केटिंग के बारे में थोड़ा सा पैशनेट होना पड़ेगा, राइट. आपको ब्रांड का थोड़ा सा समझ होना पड़ेगा,
करेक्ट,
than just going technical that I'll run your ad.
Correct, because I can also understand, because a lot of time when we were running in ads, we were doing the performance marketing. तो एक हमारे पास एक बंदा आता था जो कहता था मैं 6,000 रुपए में काम करने को तैयार महीने का. कोई एक आता था जो कहता था मैं 60,000 लूंगा. तो कहता था जो भी आप बजट रन करोगे उसका मैं 10% लूंगा, राइट. एंड you were like तुम और किसी और 6,000 रुपए जो बंदा ले रहा है वर्सेस जो 10% कट ले रहा है और जो 60,000 अपफ्रंट कह रहे हैं कि मैं चार्ज कर रहा हूँ 60,000 अपफ्रंट, उसमें फर्क क्या है?
बहुत फर्क है ना. The good or bad thing about being in this space जहाँ पे if you're selling your services, as a marketer, when you're joining a job or you're working as an independent freelancer or consultant, whatever, right?
Correct.
There's no MRP.
Correct.
Right? There's no MRP. You have to figure out based on your credibility that you've created, your experience, your certifications, your education, or your understanding about the domain.
Correct.
How much can you sell yourself, right? So that person also needs to sell himself in the interview or interaction that we're talking, right? Of saying that, या तो he'll just say कि मुझे certificate है, give me the job. Like you said, 6,000 रुपए कोई job दे दो, I'll do it, right? So that's why I said quality suffered because people were ready to do that particular job even for a lesser amount. But if someone has a long-term vision as a brand person or as a marketer, you're not just looking at that person's certificate. You're looking at that person's attitude and aptitude. If that person is there for you for a long run, right? Correct. Or can you, help him grow as an individual and then abhi start low karega, but then he'll become like a marketing manager and then he'll leading the marketing role. So I think that's very person to person thing, but the industry kind of faced goods and bads with this whole, cropping up or mushrooming of a lot of institutes. And then we've seen it, a lot of institutes shut down. A lot of them were taken over by other, techs of the world. And then where are they right now? So you know it better. You are in this space. But yeah.
Again, in current scenario, where we are sitting in 2024, right, where Zomato is doing a massive campaigns and they're going crazy, right? As you can see, वो लोग स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी भी कर रहे हैं, these guys are doing everything, right? इस मोमेंट पे do you think to coming up with a degree or maybe to go through a kind of a maybe educational background, let's suppose कि मैंने एक marketing के अंदर degree ली है, is it important now? Because a lot of time I've seen people are end up getting into economics and then jumping into something else and still people are good with this. तो do you think कि सर्टिफिकेट होना मार्केटिंग का या फिर कोई डिग्री होना मार्केटिंग की जरूरी है आज के टाइम पे?
Can't deny the importance. I can't say कि इसके में चलेगा, honestly.
अच्छा.
Two reasons. One is we're talking two things. One, we're talking courses, normal courses, MBA courses, 2-year courses, and then there are other alternates कि आप part time कर लो, 3-year course कर लो, blah, 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 right? There's always this thing of we are living in a society where anyways is driven by the fact कि आपने क्या पढ़ाई करी हुई, right? Unlike say other countries and say even if you've done a vocational course you can still do marketing, right? Here the paths are still taken linear, right? One, either we can be like a क्रांतिकारी and say कि नहीं हम तो पूरी दुनिया change कर देंगे, or you can still work your way around it, right? One is this, right? And the course still starts off where your liking falls into picture, right? जरूरी नहीं है कि suppose I'm in 12th I have a passion towards marketing or मैं engineer बनना चाहता हूँ, but at least you know where you're tilting towards, right? Somewhere the Indian education system, as I said, is different from the other countries, so that's where you still want to end up taking more linear path. I'm not saying it's the best part, but what I'm saying is it still gives you, the courses gives you not only the bookish knowledge to a lot of things, but specifically MBA gives you the opportunity to kind of connect with a lot of industry folks.
In terms of networking, right?
In terms of network, in terms of working on live projects, if you want to do. Otherwise, see, I'll go there, I'll do my course, I'll come back. This will be just another graduation.
Don't you feel कि like at your level where you were doing it, right? The networking makes much more sense because at that time कुछ ना कुछ था नहीं, right? But आज के टाइम पे तो मैं अगर मार्केटिंग की बात कर रहा हूँ तो I can network with such people, right? And on LinkedIn and can connect with them, and I don't feel कि मुझे तो डिग्री की जरूरत ही नहीं है मार्केटिंग की.
So degree is not the reason for marketing. Oh, sorry, for networking.
For networking,
right? What I'm saying is, as I said, I just continue where I left, right? One, we're talking courses, and one, we're talking certificates.
Correct.
Right. Now, what certificates are doing, whether it's 2-month course or 6 months course or 18-month course, they are just structuring something that you can find for free on YouTube. For example, right, a digital marketing course, if you run particular videos and go through it, you will get it. But a certificate just is a validation that you've kind of gone through the how do I say, the terminology.
I think it shows the seriousness.
A slight bit of seriousness that you're also taking those tests and just cracking it. So I'm not undermining the value of certificates, but I'm just undermining the fact that the kind of way things have moved in the edtech space, wherein there's so many courses that now it's lost its charm, right? What is there, say, suppose in 2019, 2021, because, and it's a problem of plenty kind of a thing. You have so many courses that you kind of lose the charm and maybe the importance. At the same time, if I have two people with the same, the exact clones, and if suppose someone's done a certificate, I can at least be much more confident about that person, is what I'll say. If I, as I said, clones, exact same thing. This is basically an add-on, tick mark that one can have for certificate. But for me, that is not the hero of that person. Right?
Nice.
But for me,
but for me, that certificate is not the hero of that person. Right?
Okay.
There's more and beyond that I would look in a person. At maybe a personality level, attitude level, skill set level, than just going ahead with someone who's done a certificate course.
Got it. If somebody is watching this podcast, right, and want to like learn around the marketing, maybe where should he start? Should he start from getting into a college degree? Wants to maybe go for a course? कैसे start कर सकता है कोई बंदा?
So again, there's no one path, honestly, right? If you, I think we can take it from, say, suppose if I'm in 12th, right?
Not 12th, but a person like not college, even a person who is coming from a sales background, and want to switch his career into marketing. How are you going to guide him?
So I think interestingly, I had someone who kind of had a similar question for me in one of my mentorship sessions. It's like, sir, I want. He called me Bhaiya, right? So Bhaiya, I want to change my career, go engineer background, and I don't want to do MBA, right? So I said easy hai, at the same time difficult hai. When I say easy, is because you don't have the baggage. Right? You have to start from scratch, and that is the tough part, right? When you start from scratch, you have to let go of a lot of things, right? If you are in sales career, right, you're earning X money, right? Don't expect that you would start getting marketing jobs at the same level. You may or may not, is the thing. You have to be open, right?
Got it.
And obviously, see, the thing is, it's not that sales and marketing are very unconnected profiles. No, right? I had a person who had varied experience in sales, and then what he did is he joined. So he had like 3 to 4 years into FMCG sales, and then he joined an agency, his own company's agency, and said, "I'll start working with you. You give me like X amount of money, right, as a executive only. But since I have 3 years of experience, what I would just request is that after 6 months, please understand and just see if you can give me like a higher position." And luckily for him, he was able to kind of prove his worth as an executive within the 5th month, not even the 6th one. He was promoted 2 degrees up the chain, right? So he took the agency route. Right now, he's sitting in one of the startup D2C brands, right, doing good for himself, connected us some time back. So I think I have seen that part for someone. So I can easily say that if you have the passion and you know that, yes, this is my calling, right? Because unfortunately, you don't get many chances. You can't move from sales to marketing and then say, "Mujhe HR bhi karna hai, mujhe tech bhi karna hai," right? So you have to, at a certain stage, you have to figure out where you see your life in the next 10 years, 20 years, without forming it as कि मुझे sentence HR में interview में बोलना, right? At least you know the direction.
Got it. So let's suppose if somebody wants to switch from sales to marketing, right? So you're telling that he needs to start at a very scratch level, not like...
I'm not saying necessarily it will happen wherever. I've seen a case, that's what I'm saying. He took the agency route because he felt that it's slightly more easier to crack because he had a connection there, right? Had he gone to somewhere else, it would have been tough for him to kind of tell him his value and the reason of shifting. Because the agency was connected with this brand, they kind of were, they knew his value.
So again, I think referrals works out.
Referrals work out, definitely.
Referrals work out. And a lot of time, your own network works a lot, right? So maybe somebody who knows you, who understands you well, maybe your friend or somebody who can refer you in a company. I think that works.
One important thing is, and I've learned it the hard way. One of my mentors told me this year, पूछने में क्या चाहता है? We are hesitant of the fact कि if I'll ask यार मेरे बारे में क्या सोचेगा, और इसको ये भी नहीं पता कि मैं इतना ही कमाता हूँ मैं सिर्फ, या मेरे को इतना ही आता है सिर्फ, right? So that hesitance is not going to run your house, right? And ultimately you are doing work so that you are, for many reasons, but money is also one of the reasons.
Got it.
So you have to be very sure of where you're heading towards.
Got it. So just to come with the end of the podcast, right? I want to understand few things. So first thing which comes down is always in the mind of a person who is want to get into marketing or maybe branding, right? So what's the very early package he can expect? With a 0 to 1 experience, right? And can he able to earn like a double digit salary or maybe double digit packages, irrespective कि उसको जोमेटो नहीं मिलता, ब्लिंकिट जैसे ब्रांड्स नहीं मिलते, या फिर बम्बल जैसा ब्रांड नहीं मिलता, एंड क्या वो डबल डिजिट्स में कमा सकता है, एंड कमा सकता है तो कितने साल में कमा सकता है?
So कमा तो फर्स्ट ईयर में भी सकता है. I know a lot of folks who kind of reached that level in the first year itself. Having said that, let's be very realistic in nature. And I'm not comparing it myself when I started out, right? I'm still saying since there's a lot of folks out there wanting to do a lot of stuff, and the job market is not that great, let's be honest. At the same time, there are a lot of startups who are coming up with a lot of funding and background, whatever. So there's a mix of people who want like कि मुझे तो 10 लाख का ही job चाहिए. First of all, let's break it down that तो you're running a game which is quick. I'm very aggressive. मुझे तो 10 लाख का ही package चाहिए.
ठीक है.
Yeah, you're saying I'll take it the small or the shorter route or like the more simplistic route of saying let's go as the things flow, right? You'll get a 3.5-4 lakh rupees package, for example. Basic jobs, right? कि आपको account executive का job मिला, wherein the salary can be as low as 30,000, 40,000. That means you're earning like 4-5.5 lakh rupees, whatever, right? There should be no problem with people working on that, honestly, if you don't have options.
Got it.
Having said that, because see, the thing is, as I said, there's no MRP, there's no higher upper limit. At the same time, what you should also understand is that you should never be earning something which is beyond your value, because that kills your career to a large extent. Right? Very specific example I can give. I know a very, very bright person, 5 years into the industry, he got a package of around 65 lakh rupees.
In marketing?
In marketing. Okay. I don't want to name the startup where he joined in Bangalore.
That's completely fine.
He moved there.
We'll decode that.
He moved there, right? I think 4.5, not in 5 years, 4.5 years, for 4.5 years, 65-70 lakh rupees. He told me, right? I'm believing that he said the truth. But within 6 months, he understood that that's not the place that he belongs to. Like, then it was difficult for him to leave the organization also. And he was not able to crack any interview which would offer him same or higher value. You won't believe the cut that he had taken. He came back to Delhi. He started work from home for a Jaipur-based organization, working for 1/3 of the package of what we were getting. Right?
Crazy.
Extreme example. But I'm just telling you that never just say that, oh, I've got this package and this is what I wanted and this is what I wanted and this is it. Right? I've arrived. No. Right? Never judge your value by just the amount of money that they're giving you. Right? If you also have to understand a lot of things of where your career is shaping and how you want to shape it.
Got it.
And if suppose, and he told me this, he said, so if I would have stuck with it, I would have worked there for 2 years, honestly. But I was just not feeling the vibe. Right?
Got it.
So there are a lot of examples. So again, there's no book which would say कि यही करना है या यही आपको package मिल सकता है. So there's a large kind of range of money to kind of work.
Correct. So I want to understand, Ankur, now you are actually mentoring a lot of people and you have spent a decade in this industry, marketing अंदर. Want to also understand कि क्या पहले marketing थी और अब कैसे marketing है, right? And what's your learning around, if you want to share the learnings with people, and at the same time I can see you are mentoring in TopMate, right? तो कैसा experience है, थोड़ा बहुत share कर सकते?
Yeah. So I'll take the second question first in terms of TopMate, etc. Right? So I think I was, luckily I didn't know this, but subconsciously I was kind of sharing my thoughts and mentorship sessions with a lot of folks who were there in my previous organizations. Maybe it comes inherently that I give a ear to someone who is talking with a problem, and to me what I understood is that mentoring is not about giving solutions to your problem. मुझसे question पूछो मैं आपका answer दे दूंगा ना.
ठीक है.
It's about giving a perspective to how to look at a problem, right? And then slicing the problem and then understanding how can you funnel it out to make a solution out of it, right? Basics, right? And then also is it really a problem or not? Yeah, is it just me who's thinking it? Because a lot of people who would come to me, that this may be thinking too much about it, and then it's about thinking more and doing less, right?
Right.
So that was there, and then when these platforms came into picture, I said, why not structure it? Because it's also giving me as a person the opportunity to grow first, connect with people from different backgrounds and age bracket. And as a marketer, we are anyways looking out for options or opportunities to connect with TGs, for example, right?
Correct.
Right. So if I'm meeting you, I've kind of taken a lot of things that what your age person would think,
right,
or what are his ambitions, right?
Right.
So I think right now it's going smoothly. I'm not taking too many sessions. This is like a I don't think that I'm doing. That's not my core. But I'm also learning how to structure my mentorship sessions. So I'm also kind of taking sessions to learn about mentorship.
Actually, what I feel is the mentorship gives you a lot of time. It gives you a good understanding about yourself, because you understand that अगर इस पर्टिकुलर डोमेन में मुझे नॉलेज है तो अगर मैं वो कितनी ट्रांसफर कर पा रहा हूँ, राइट? एंड स्ट्रक्चरल थिंकिंग इज समथिंग व्हिच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. You evaluate yourself while speaking, right? You understand कि structurally बात करना कितना important है.
And one important thing that it's more of a reason that I also do it is because see, when we say कि learn from others' mistakes, कि उन्होंने गलती कर दिया या अपनी गलती दोबारा repeat मत करो. There's also another line to it. It's like learn from others' problems, right? So if I'm understanding that you are facing a problem, right?
Nice.
If we are figuring out a solution to it collectively, right? And I'll say, अगर मुझे भी similar problem होगी, so how do I structure it? So I should be waiting for that day to come, that I face a similar problem, and then I'll start looking for solutions.
That's right.
So I think that just opens up a lot of perspectives also.
That's right.
So that's more, so that goes, so that kind of benefit goes beyond the money that you'll make from mentorship sessions. It's not even right now. It's not that you make large monies out of it, right? It's more to do with how you're building that repertoire and how you kind of. It's not to do with कि 300 sessions हो गए top mate पे. It's not that. Yes, I would love to have 1,000 sessions or number one percentage of people who are there, but that's another career, right? Another career.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So talk about the dark side of the marketing. Dark side about the behind scenes about how it goes, right? And maybe if you want to share some experience, some bad experiences, right?
Yeah. So Ritik, I think it's more to do with how the new generation coming in, coming with a lot of ideas, and a lot of exposure. I mean, I'm learning from a 25-year-old, and I have no problems putting it out right that they are much more evolved in terms of a lot of things, in terms of technology, in terms of how they do it, in terms of understanding, ये pulse होगा, ये चलेगा,
Gen Z, right?
Gen Zs, no problems, but they come with their own set of problems, right? See, in life, I'll take a term that is used in economics, equilibrium. Right? So go anywhere, demand supply, जहाँ पे भी demand ज़्यादा है, supply कम है, या supply कम है, demand ज़्यादा है, there will always be problems, right? And you always have to look out for that equilibrium point, right? So I see a lot of people who come in, and I'm not generalizing it, but they have this aggressive attitude towards life. One is this, which is good also. At the same time, secondly, what they've also got exposed into is they started out being people who were exposed to social media and the life of influencer, and seeing that this person has XYZ money or this one net worth, ki 65 rupees ka package hai, and XYZ things, right? So with that glam and with that attempt to reach to a higher level, they are, lot of them are not ready to hustle that hard. Maybe my parents' generation would say the same thing for my generation, right? But there is a much more deeper reason for this generation, that how they are acting, right? And I'm not saying with technology coming in picture, with a lot of things being very easily available to you, money being easily flowing, right? And I'm not saying don't have higher ambitions. I'm not saying that. Please go ahead and higher ambitions. It is these 25-year-olds who are building, multi-million dollar startups, and we as professionals are working in those startups, right? The only thing is that you have to somewhere figure out a balance of how you want to function as a marketer or as a professional versus at a personal level, right?
Got it.
So that's there, and I don't want to give gyan around a very basic, and I'm going to give a shout out to one of the mentors. His is Vikas Bansal. There was a video that I put out recently. Sir, hi. Said that people out there right now are taking 2 to 3 hours, spending 2 to 3 hours on social media. In fact, the data is more than that, right? And he's really rightly said that, I'm not telling you to don't use social media, right? Use it. But at the same time, whatever time you're spending on social media, spend, if you can spend the same time on yourself, right? Introspect of what's going wrong. We were talking about mental health, at the same time, it's good that we're talking. But at the same time, now people are just using or misusing this term and saying that they don't want to hustle, They don't want to go beyond, their limitations. They don't want to cross their limitations, right? So just people are taking this easy way out of saying कि यार ये मेरे zone में नहीं है, मेरे को mental health issues हो जाते हैं. I want to prioritize my mental health first. I think you need to first also understand what calls out to come into this bracket of mental health also, because honestly, see,
right, I've seen that.
These things need serious attention.
In fact, in our own team, right, these guys are like having a better work-life balance than me, right?
And so they have to create that balance. And I'm saying we also had vices in terms of how we were growing up, and we also heard a lot of from our senior folks, luckily some of us could kind of overcome those. I still would be having a lot of issues in terms of how I operate. I don't see, or even if I see it, I'm still working onto it. So I think there's this reason that you need to understand where's that balance, where are you moving towards. आपको 1 crore का पैकेज मिल जाएगा, आज नहीं तो कल मिल जाएगा, right? Are you just aiming for that life and then you'll start being happy? So you have to figure out your happiness right away. Happiness is not an end goal.
Got it.
It's a process. It's how you live life.
Got it. Yeah. Got it. Just last 2 questions, right? Yeah. First is what you see, maybe like how you're going to guide somebody who wants to get into marketing domain, what skill he needs to have, right, prior to getting into the marketing, right? Maybe the basic skill set that this is the basic skill set you need to have. And second thing, the second question I'm going to ask you afterwards, right?
So at the core, what happens is, in any team, right? The marketing, especially coming from this marketing background, if you have anything, any content piece, any social media post, any and everyone would have a perspective of marketing, right? Right. Because it's subjective in nature. Right? My CEO would say कि अरे ये ad ना सबको दिखा दो and सबसे vote ले लो. देखिए क्या ad अच्छी है नहीं.
Correct.
I'm saying the problem is that that's not a TG. Right? If that my TG falls into my TG bracket, I would do it. But that's not my TG. Right? One is this. They don't ask me for finance related issues, right?
Correct.
But everyone has a marketing perspective. So that's how the outer world sees it as.
Because it's very subjective.
It is subjective.
Correct.
But the field of marketing, right? If you look at it carefully, it's a mix of science and art. Right? There's creativity involved. There are still frameworks involved.
Correct.
Right? So you have to start understanding and dissecting first कि marketing में क्या क्या parts है, उसमें से मुझे क्या click करता है, उनमें क्या value, कहाँ पर मैं जा सकता हूँ as a career if he wants to pick up, right? Like I said, someone picked up a advertising route, right? Because he felt it was easy to get in, and I'm not saying advertising is easy. It's tough because there's no Saturday Sunday.
Correct.
In that sense,
no Saturday.
Right now we are shooting this on
Sunday.
Right? So if you're part of this whole brand marketing game, you have to figure out that where you fall into picture and what you're ready to give in to get what.
Correct.
Right? And then you also have to understand कि यार आप जाके designer नहीं बन रहे हो. If you don't have the basic understanding of how design colors work, or if you don't have the skill set to draw, sketch, or now digital Photoshop as a tool आप learn कर लोगे. But if you don't have it innately in you to creatively present a problem as a solution, right, you won't succeed.
Correct.
Right? So I think there's no general answer. You have to figure out where your comfort lies and where you kind of can go beyond your comfort, add a skill set. आपके पास क्या skill set पहले से ही है, which you can enhance to get into this world. Right?
Got it.
क्या पता आप good हो in research or meeting people.
Got it.
Can you be into client servicing?
Got it. फिर भी in any ways, if you just tell us like top 5 skills to become a marketer.
Yeah. I give a lot of importance to people management skills.
People management.
Yeah. One is aptitude and attitude.
Okay. Aptitude and attitude. Yeah. Right.
Secondly, just the openness to kind of newer things. And are you really following different trends, right? I'm not expecting you to know Zomato की strategy.
ठीक है.
Right?
अच्छा.
But if you are getting into marketing, do you have your own top 5 or worst 5 ad campaigns?
Okay.
Right? Or do you know of anything कि यार and again I'm not going to say कि यार मुझे ये pen बेच दो, that's sales. Right? But do you have in it you कि यार innately I speak to people and I get a lot of learnings from it, right?
Correct.
Market research oriented, right? Or are you good at operational stuff?
Got it.
Right? So because you can go in different directions.
Got it.
Right? Or technically, if you are good with technology, right? Can you get into digital marketing space and start running ads?
Got it.
So
got it. Cool. I think that's amazing, because ultimately a lot of time people, what they do is they end up dreaming about Zomato. They end up dreaming about like big boards and you know what? It goes so much behind the scene, and you figure out it goes so much behind the scene, and you figure it out that dude, now after taking courses or after taking so much efforts, now I'm into the marketing, but अब तो मुझे creative freedom ही नहीं है, क्योंकि जो मैं करना चाहता हूँ वो बन ही नहीं कर ही नहीं पा रहा हूँ, right? And in short, then you think कि यार मैं तो stuck हो गया career में. After 2 years I've just make myself a brand manager, but ये brand manager कोई manager नहीं है, क्योंकि वो foundry है सुन रहा है.
So I'll give you one example. Sorry, just take
Yeah, please.
Is you have to understand that marketing is not you. You're a part of a team, right? There are a lot of creative inputs that everyone would give. One is this. Secondly, there are a lot of other things into picture. Finance is there, right? How would your marketing campaign, ad campaign impact sales folks?
Correct.
आपने product level से बात की है कि नहीं की है? कि आप तो ad चला दोगे, but the product is not there in the market.
Correct.
Right? Then आपने proper research किया कि नहीं है?
Correct.
Have you spoken to the TG or not?
Correct.
Right? Have you gone ahead on ground and understood what the problem lies, rather than just sitting in AC rooms and making strategies?
Correct.
Right? So there's a lot that goes inside a marketing huddle, right? And you should be, that's what I'm saying, attitude and openness to also learn and unlearn. That's also very important. कि आप कोर्स करके तो आ गए कि यार ये ऐसा होता है, but ऐसा होता नहीं है, because you miss out on a lot of practical things. Right? आपको you become a category manager of say Amazon का एक mobile division का, for example. आपको तो लगा, but what you're doing right now as a starter, you're just changing the description or just figuring out कि यार मोबाइल के specs सही हैं in terms of images, right? या आपने offer डाल दिया कि नहीं डाल दिया, right? So there's a hard path that everyone takes. It's not as glamorous as it might sound to you. In our days, what FMCG was, right now it's startups. कि मुझे Amazon में जाना है, Google में जाना है, इसमें जाना है. So I think just figure out that piece.
Absolutely amazing. And just the last thing, Abhi, how's your work-life balance going on? How your day looks like?
Yeah. So since I've worked for a lot of clients independently, I kind of break it down to make sure that I get that flexibility. I started this because I wanted that thing to grow.
Correct.
Into the career, into 15 years, I said that, hey, there's a time for me to understand what I want. I can earn a lot of money, I can earn crores either, or I can figure out the balance that I'm saying, right? Right now, my son is 4, so I want to give him enough time. Because after say suppose he's 5 or 6, he's on his own, right? So that's there, right? I have a very supportive and great wife who kind of I share a lot of vibes with in terms of also professional diligent that ways. So we kind of figure out our lives both professionally, so that we spend enough time together as well as with the child.
Beautiful.
As well as we make sure that we, I don't want to sound old, but sleep on time and get up on time.
Right.
I learned it the hard way, because once you cross 30s, when you realize that I should have spent more time on my body and mind, and and social angle to it.
Correct.
So that's there, and you whatever you do, whether you do yoga or just running or do whatever, just do some physical activity. That's what we do in the morning. And then when you do that, there's also this reason that we want to do it so that our son sees it, and he's also and we cannot run after him and if we are not.
And end of the day, the son is like, "Ki Papa, भाई इलेक्ट्रिक स्कूटी आ गई है, आप भागो, मैं तो इलेक्ट्रिक स्कूटी में
So I don't want to be that dad who would kind of कि मैं थोड़ी सी
correct. I totally understand, and it's really great. So Ankur, the most beautiful part of your journey was that you started from a very humble background. You started from economic honors, and also you would actually very much focus what you want in your life, right? And you end up getting that. I think that it's a very beautiful part because a lot of people in their mid careers also they don't have a clarity, right, and still they are figuring out the things. Uh, Also, the most important point to take away from this podcast is that never give up, because you have seen Ankur spending like a 3 years, right, or 2.5 years doing like cracking up the cat, and end up getting into the Mica, which was a dream college for him. And I think that's never give up attitude is very rare in the people, right? People get discouraged, people get disappointed by themselves, right? And a most important point is that you started your career with 50% cut, then you jump and then you take up the risk, which was massive for a year. You haven't get paid anything, right, and you were not able to make that much of money. Also a kind of and guys, you can see from a marketing point of view, right, a marketer who is actually growing and who is actually right now in their mid career, right, now he's consulting other companies, other startups, just because he have themselves done that, right? So what I believe, if you want to be a marketer, if you want to jump into the marketing domain, you can feel free to connect with Ankur on LinkedIn. And I'm gonna be dropping his LinkedIn handles and also the top mate handle, right? The most important point from the Ankur's journey is not about the fancy job profile. It's more about the hardship he's currently having, right? There are times where he started his journey, then he switched their career, then again spent 4.5 years in a company, and then started out as an independent consultant. I think, guys, you should learn from him. And if you want to get into the marketing, more than happy to help you out, guys, and more than happy to connect with Ankur. Thank you so much, guys. Stay safe. Take care. Thank you so much, Ankur, for doing this on Sunday. Perfect, guys. Thank you so much.